Now, when you're thinking about kinds of customers, you go to where the people are most fervent, right? Where they're just absolutely nuts about this kind of thing. Well, guess what's one of the most fervent growing trends in our country? Hint, cute, small, wiggly, not a problem, hypoallergenic. In other words, I want a pal. I want them to adore me, and I want them to not mess up. I'm being only a little sarcastic, but this is true from a couple of studies. So if you do anything that relates to people's pets, cats and dogs especially, there's a huge, huge growing market, and none of them have bundled their services together yet. So you think, okay, what's fervent for us? And then this is the last one, which is the most odd and the biggest. Now, I don't know you really well, but I have this wild perception that all of you, sometime in the last month, have probably gone to a grocery store at some point. Have probably gone to a gas station, except for those who live in New York, not as many, a gas station, and have gone to a bank. So I really believe in locally owned businesses that do well. I'm a real fan of regional banks because they're as good as my feelings are opposite about big banks. So we have a regional bank called Bank of Marin. Regional banks all over the country. Imagine if you approached a bank, because most of the people go to a bank ATM, or at least they get their monthly slips from them. Suppose the bank turned to all of its customers that ran businesses and said, we're going to start delivering tips in the account statement, and we're going to have tips digitally on our site from our bank customers. Would you give me 2 to 3 specific tips? And we'll list them plus your URL. So when they did that, of course, they built enormous bonds. And they say, by the way, we're going to mention you in 2 months. Would you mention the fact that you're going to be featured in all of our bank slips? So can you imagine the loyalty that built and the leverage and the value? And then they said, if you're really smart, why don't a couple of you get together and co-sponsor tips? So it'll be tips from 2 of you, then you can appear twice.